So, with 7.1, 2, now we're doing the grouping. We did the greatest common factor in the first video, and then it ended up being a 10-minute video, so I didn't want to make it a whole video for both parts. So I'm gonna auto focus real quick, hang on. So, there it goes. So when we're factoring, we're looking at factoring the entire polynomial beyond just a greatest common factor, because if we look at this, there's no coefficient with x squared, so we can't factor out a number. And there's no x with 15, so we can't factor anything out there as well. So what we're doing instead is factoring by what's called grouping. So we're going to take these two parts separately and factor out a greatest common factor. So if we take x squared plus 3x, I'm just rewriting a little bit larger. Both of those can be divided by an x. So I can take an x out of both of those. So what I'm going to have here is x times x to give me x squared, and x times 3 to give me 3x. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the 5x plus 15. I'm going to keep dropping down that plus sign. So there's no x with 15, so I'm not going to take any x's out, but 15 and 5 are both divisible by 5. So I'm going to take that 5 and put it out front. So 5 times x gives me 5x, and 5, drop down my plus, 5 times 3 is going to give me 15. So if I were to distribute all this, I would end up back where I was up here. So I don't want to combine my like terms because I'm factoring by grouping here, and that's part of why I'm doing this. Now, what you might notice is that my I can't find a highlighter. That my section in the parentheses, my factor in the parentheses, are both x plus 3. So what I have here when I look at it is actually a common factor for both of those. So if I take out that common factor, x plus 3, and I pull it out, the whole thing, then what I'm left with is the factor x plus 5. So if I were to multiply that out, I would get x squared, that's my x squared, x times, 3x for my term there, x times 5 gives me the 5x, and 3 times 5 gives me the 15. So that is factoring by grouping. The other way you might look at it, if you are more comfortable with the box, is putting those in the box. So my x squared, and my 15, and my 3x, and my 5x. So if I put all of those into the box, this is going to get me factored as well. The one thing you do want to make sure of, it makes it a little easier anyway, is if these two are diagonal from each other. So then I look at my columns and my rows to factor out my greatest common factors. Now, when I just have x squared, the only thing I can divide out of that is an x. So I have x times x gives me x squared, x times 3 gives me 3x, x times 5 gives me 5x, and then I double check, 5 times 3 gives me 15. So once again, I can write this as that x in parentheses times x plus 5, also in parentheses. So we'll do another example of that. Let's do number 7. That one's going to be a tad more complicated. So if I have, I'm going to group these together just like this. So if I got my x to the third minus 3x squared, the highest x I can take out of that is an x squared. So I'm going to pull that out front. So I've got x squared. X squared times x is going to give me x to the third minus 3 because x squared times negative 3 is going to give me negative 3x squared. And then I'm going to drop down the plus sign from up here in my 4x minus 12. No x's that can be taken out of this one, but I can take out a 3. Not a 3, just kidding. 4, because those are both divisible by 4. So I'm going to take that out, put it there, be all messy, my apologies. So I have 4 times x and 4 times 3 to give me my negative 12. Now we again have this common factor of x minus 3. So I'm going to take that x minus 3, factor that out, and what I'm left with is x squared plus 4. So in the same kind of way, I could use the box. So let me be clear, you don't have to use the box. You can use the you can use the grouping. You can use whichever method you're most comfortable with. You definitely don't have to do both. So I'm going to put in my x to the third and my 12 and my negative 12. I don't know if it works with this method. Hang on a second. Yes, this works fine. So I had my x to the third, my negative 12, my negative 3x squared, and my 4x. Make sure that you're keeping those negatives in there. That's an important part of it. So in my column here, my greatest common factor is x squared. That's the most I can pull out of here. So x squared times x gives me x to the third. X squared times negative 3 gives me negative 3x squared. X times 4 gives me 4x, and then 4 times negative 3 gives me negative 12. So once again, I have my x squared plus 4 right here, and my x minus 3 right there. So that is some more factoring by grouping, and we'll do one more, and then we'll call it good. This one has more variables there, so that may throw us a little bit. It doesn't look like we have any greatest common factors with our numbers, so we're going to go ahead and group. Anytime you can, you want to factor out greatest common factors for the numbers just to simplify the rest of the process, but you can't always do that. So if I look at this, my factors for 10 are 1 and 10, and 2 and 5. Factors for 12, 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. So my greatest common factor with these two is a 2. And then they both have an x with them as well. This one has an x squared and this one has an x, so I can pull out a 2x. So I'm going to take that 2x out of there. 10x squared divided by 2x, so that's where that is going, is 5x. Negative 12 divided by 2x is negative 6y. Sorry, negative 12xy, I should say. So that's one part. Bring down my plus sign. 35 and 42, if you were to factor all of those out, the greatest common factor with both those two numbers is 7. 35 divided by 7 is 5, and 42 divided by 7 is 6. So I'm going to factor out a 7. And then I'm also going to factor out a y. So once I do that, divide that by 7y, not x, y. So remember when I write that I'm dividing this by 7y, I'm doing that so it's easier to simplify with n, but that's not really what I'm doing. I'm actually putting it right there, so I'm undistributing it. This part is to kind of help you keep track of the dividing, because 35 divided by 7 is going to give me 5. X needs to stay there, and then y's, those are both going to divide out. On this one, bring down my minus. 42 divided by 7 is 6. Y squared divided by y gives me y. So both of these have a factor of 5x minus 6y. I'm going to pull that out front, so I'm factoring again, and it would help if I wrote it right. So I have 5x minus 6y times what I have left, 2x plus 7y. And once again, just to show you the area model method, it. If that is what you're more comfortable with, that is fine, except I don't think I left myself enough room. So 10x squared. Last term, 42y squared. Yeah, definitely not enough room. Minus 12xy plus 35xy. So then I just look at the greatest common factor from each of those. 10 and 35 are both divisible by 5. This one has an x squared, this one has an x, so I can take an x out of there. 5x, or 10x squared divided by 5x gives me 2x. 5x times 7y is going to give me 35y squared, or sorry, 35xy. 2x times negative 6y is going to give me negative 12xy. And 7 times negative 6 gives me negative 42. Y times y gives me y squared. So once again, I have this 5x minus 6y and 2x plus 7y. So that, my dears, is factoring by grouping. And that will become more important as we move forward into this unit. The more comfortable you are with that, the better off you're going to be. So that's it. Have a good day.